My name is Tara Shammy. I am new to Wayne Westland School. This is my first year. And I am the Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment. And one of the things that I am charged with this year is just kind of helping with the middle school transition, which is a really big deal and a really important piece of all of your lives, which is why you're here. So thank you so much for being here. We want to go through kind of where we're at and what our district has been doing to support this transition to make sure that it's smooth for all of you. So I kind of want to give you some information and take you through our PowerPoint presentation and then allow you to just ask all the questions that you might have or make any comments that you might have. And what questions we can't answer today, we will try to answer as soon as possible. And I want to let you know that there are some questions that we don't have exact answers to just yet, but we have people working on every aspect of this middle school transition as you kind of navigate your way through it. So thank you for being here. A few things just to know are that Marshall will be closing in June of 2020. So at the end of this year, Marshall will close, at which time we will have 3 middle schools. That'll be 6 through 8. This school. So Stevenson, Franklin, and Adams will be the 3 middle schools in Wayne Westland. 6th grade will remain self-contained. So your 6th graders will have the same type of structure that they currently have in their 5-6 buildings. So instead of entering 6th grade as middle school students do in 7th, where they have 6 classes and they change classes every hour, our teachers will be the same people who are teaching 6th grade right now in a self-contained classroom, but within the larger middle school. So the 7th and 8th graders will be there, but the 6th graders will have a different structure to their day, and they'll stay with one primary teacher throughout the day, through 6th grade. And then in 7th grade, it'll be the normal schedule as we do right now. There are currently 10 subcommittees. I thought this was so amazing when I first learned about this, that there's over 100 people in Wayne Westland Schools working on this transition. There are parents, there are staff members, teachers, principals, administrators, working on all the different aspects of this transition to make sure that it goes as smoothly as possible. This will be the new flow chart for Wayne Westland. So right now we have 2 upper elementaries and 2 middle schools, but starting next year, Marshall will no longer be there, and we will have 3 schools that feed into our high schools. So all 3 schools will have 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. Elementaries stay the same, and high schools are going to stay the same. We wanted to give you this picture. So for next year, as we start to think about, well, how many kids are going to be at Franklin, how many kids are going to have to move, we wanted to kind of get a picture and share this with you. There will be 3 middle schools next year. Right now, in 7th and 8th grade, there are 859 kids that go to Stevenson, and there are 763 kids that go to Franklin Middle School. Next year, some of those 7th and 8th graders will be at Adams, where there are currently 0 7th or 8th graders. So there will be some shifting of students from, from all 4 schools to the 3 new schools. So there's going to be some changes happening. Attendance boundaries will change, and you have maps in front of you that you've been digesting since you came in, and we have some specific maps. What you have is the map that shows all 3 middle schools. If you're looking for a zoomed in version of, let's say, Adams attendance areas, we have zoomed in maps up here that you can grab so that you can see actual street names, and they're all up here on this table. There was a lot of work done to minimize the transitions, but we know that there are still a lot of them, and we want to ease those transitions for our kids and for our families. Transportation eligibility will change a little bit next year. So right now, as 6th graders in an elementary, the eligibility is 1 mile. So if you're 1 mile away from school, you get transportation. Our middle schools are 1.5 miles. So in the middle school, as we shift this, contractually our transportation will provide for anyone who lives 1.5 miles or more away from their middle school. So the high school attendance boundaries will not change. So those will remain the same. And there will be kids from all 3 middle schools that will feed into both high schools. So if you go to Adams, some kids will end up at John Glenn, some kids will end up at Wayne Memorial, same with the other 2 middle schools. This is the map that you have in front of you. You guys want to grab one of these right here. And this just shows you the new boundaries for our 3 middle schools. this one is an important one for a lot of people in this room, sports and extracurriculars. And at your middle school, there will be sports and lots of extracurricular opportunities. So after school programs and different things. So 6th graders are eligible to run cross country. They're eligible for swimming and for track. So as 6th grade students in our 3 middle schools, you'll have the opportunity to participate in those sports, as well as any of the after-school programs that exist in the 3 different middle schools. And there are tons of them. There's also a possibility of intramural sports for the younger ones at the 3 schools, depending on the interest from the kids. And I heard a plethora of examples of after-school activities last night at one of the middle schools, and I know that all 3 of them will have similar things. Student council, we heard different music things. There's all kinds of different groups that happen after school that 6th graders will have an opportunity to participate in. As we move on, so as we meet, we have all these different committees working right now, trying to figure out all the details of how to make this work well. And so we're going to refine, revise attendance boundaries if necessary. We're going to make sure that everything is going to work as smoothly as possible. Our 6th grade scheduling is going to begin in March. So counselors will go out to schools, and the scheduling process for our 6th graders will begin in March. Our current 5th graders will get a letter about the middle school transition before our winter break that tells you what middle school you're going to be attending. So you'll get a letter at school, and you can see it from your map right now, but you'll also receive a letter to take home that explains what middle school you'll be attending. That'll happen before our break in a month. And school choice options will be available to current 7th graders. We're very much aware that our 7th graders are impacted greatly with this transition, as they may be in a neighborhood where right now they're already at Stevenson, but according to the new map, they're going to Adams. And so those 7th graders, we're paying really close attention to those 7th graders and how to make that work, doing the best that we can to make that work.
So 6th graders don't get the choice of school choice?
No. School of choice is available for K-12 in Wayne Westland, but this just is pointing out that we're paying close attention to the number of 7th graders that are currently in a building and may want to stay there. We're just having lots of conversations about that and how to ease that transition if they choose to stay in the school that they're currently attending. We have lots of community building going on. Ms. Johnson, do you want to talk a little bit about community building? She is in charge of our community building group. I can give you an update unless you want to share with them what your subcommittee is working on.
Sure. I'm Shavonna Johnson. I am the Executive Director over Support Services and the Chairperson over the Community Building Subcommittee. And what we're working on is making sure that all of the voices that actually make up a school community, meaning those sub-communities, our students, our parents, our community and our alumni, that those voices are in the room and we're considering them and the impact that this transition may have on them. So what we're doing is creating some transition activities to propose to our administrators, and then we're going to have them select some, and our students will have an opportunity to weigh in on some of those as well. So we're looking at exit transition activities and entrance transition activities. It's important for us to make sure that they're comfortable as they're exiting, as well as once the school year is started. So you will hear more about that, and you probably received a survey from your administrators that gave you an opportunity to weigh in and give your voice or add your voice to some of those things. So that's what we're working on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
These are just some dates, just so you're aware of the school choice process. And this school choice process is available for kids K through 12, but this just gives you an idea of when things are due and when we'll be looking at applications and figuring out how many students are interested in school of choice and how many we can accommodate. These are just some basic guidelines and a timeline on school of choice options. Questions. So if you have any questions, I'm Dr. Tara Shanian, so you can email me right there. And Jenny Johnson is our Director of Communications. Say hi, Jenny. Hi. This is Jenny Johnson, and she has answers to lots of stuff. So if you have some specific questions that you want to talk to us about, feel free to reach out to us, and we will respond as soon as we can. We want to make sure all of your questions are getting answered, and when we don't have answers to those questions, we will find them.